Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at quite a collection of recent news and important updates from all across Canada.
Yeah, we've got a real mix.
We really do. We've pulled together stuff from, official weather warnings, court cases, public safety alerts, even new government programs. It's really about digging out those key bits of info, trying to give you a good, solid snapshot of what's actually affecting daily life right now.
And what's truly insightful, I think, is how these pieces, which might seem totally separate at first glance, they actually connect. They paint a bigger picture of, well, public well-being and how things are run across Canada.
Right.
So our mission, really, for this deep dive is to help you understand not just what's going on, but, why it matters, from crazy weather to big policy changes.
Okay, let's start with that crazy weather then, because the sheer unpredictability is really something this week.
Definitely.
We're tracking two, incredibly different, pretty intense weather stories happening at the same time in different parts of the country. It's quite the contrast.
It really is.
So first up, the heat. Toronto is bracing for a pretty significant heat wave. Starts this Sunday, June 22nd, goes through Tuesday the 24th.
Okay.
We're looking at temperatures climbing way up. 35 degrees Celsius expected on Monday.
Wow, 35.
Yeah, and that number is a big deal. Apparently, the region hasn't hit that mark in 2 years. And it's super rare for this early in the summer. Usually you'd maybe see that, late July?
Exactly. It's about 10 degrees above normal for this time of year. Very early.
And it sounds like there's not much relief either. High humidity, nights staying warm around 23 degrees.
Yeah, minimal cooling overnight.
Yeah.
Which really adds to the stress.
So from a weather perspective, what makes this particular heat wave stand out? What's it telling us?
Well, it's not just, a few hot days. It's a really stark reminder of how quickly our cities can get hit by this kind of intense heat.
Right.
And that 35 mark being so early, it definitely speaks to broader trends, shifting climate patterns. Environment Canada's really pushing the precautions. Stay inside, drink tons of water, don't go out midday if you don't have to.
The usual advice, but extra important now.
Critically important, especially looking out for older folks, kids, pets. And that reminder, which we can't say enough, never, ever leave kids or pets alone in cars.
Absolutely never.
It just highlights how urgent it is for, public health plans to adapt to these hotter summers we seem to be getting.
Okay, so while Toronto's sweltering, it's a completely different story out west.
It's a complete flip.
Over in Alberta, Environment Canada has warnings out for heavy rain, thunderstorms, and get this, snowfall in parts of the province.
In late June, yeah.
Calgary and around there could see 50 to 75 millimeters of rain starting Friday, June 20th. But the really wild part is Saturday, June 21st, mountain highways like Highwood Pass, higher elevations, could get 10 to 20 centimeters of snow.
Above about 1,400 meters, yeah. That's quite something.
Plus strong winds, maybe 60 to 80 kilometers an hour. How do we even explain that kind of contrast, and what are the dangers?
Well, it really shows off Canada's geography, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The Rockies can create these very localized, intense weather systems that just, defy the season.
Right.
It's a perfect example of how different areas need totally different kinds of prep, sometimes at the exact same time. In Calgary, that much rain could mean localized flooding, issues with drains, and the wind. That's a risk for trees coming down, power lines.
Okay, so practical advice.
Be careful on the roads, obviously. Report down lines right away. Keep storm drains clear if you can. And for those mountain roads, they're basically saying, don't travel unless you absolutely have to.
Makes sense. It really underscores needing that local weather info.
Hyperlocal awareness is key, yeah.
So it's just a powerful illustration, isn't it? Climate variability, these extreme localized events happening side by side.
Exactly.
All right, moving on from the weather. Let's talk about the justice system. We've got a significant outcome from a case in British Columbia.
Yes, this just came down.
This week, in BC Supreme Court, 27-year-old Matthew Bowe was sentenced. Life in prison, no chance of parole for 12 years.
That's right. This sentencing brings things to a close, at least legally, for a really tragic case. The victim was 64-year-old Holbert, too.
Right.
He was killed in his home in Mission, BC, back in December 2022. It happened early in the morning. Matthew Bowe was arrested pretty quickly, early 2023.
Okay.
Charged with second-degree murder. The trial started this past January. He was found guilty in February. And now we have the sentence this week.
And the investigators described it how?
The head of IIT, the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team, called it an unprovoked attack on an innocent person.
Wow. So that brings, some legal closure for the family and the community. But when authorities use phrasing like that, unprovoked attack on an innocent person, what does that really signal?
Right.
About the crime, the investigation.
It really underscores the randomness and the severity. It makes the work of investigators like IITT absolutely crucial to bring some kind of clarity and accountability.
Because it's so unsettling for people.
Exactly. These kinds of attacks are deeply disturbing for a community because there's no obvious reason, no connection, which just ramps up the fear. So the police work in these cases is absolutely vital for trying to rebuild that sense of safety.
Right, okay. Let's shift gears now to immediate community safety. We've got two important warnings, different regions, both needing public vigilance. First, over in Brampton, Peel police are asking for the public's help with some suspicious incidents in parks there.
Okay, what happened?
Well, in early June, police got two separate reports about an older man. He was apparently talking to kids, taking their pictures near a park on North Park Drive.
Oh, that's concerning.
Yeah, the really worrying part is he reportedly asked kids where they lived, asked if they wanted to go with him. He was also apparently seen later with an older woman and a young girl nearby.
And the kids?
The kids felt uncomfortable, thankfully. They told their parents. Parents called the police. Smart kids.
Very smart. Good for them. So what's the message here, especially since no charges have been laid yet?
Right, that's the key point.
Yeah, police haven't charged anyone.
Yeah.
Right now, they're just focused on finding out who this person is, understanding what his intentions were. They did give a description.
They did. Male, 60 to 70 years old, South Asian, long white beard, wearing a kurta pajama, black vest, and a turban.
Okay, so the message is really about community awareness, right? Empowering kids to speak up when something feels wrong, like these kids did.
Exactly.
And it helps law enforcement assess potential risks, even if a crime hasn't technically happened yet. It's just a reminder for everyone to keep their eyes open.
Good advice. Now moving west, a different kind of alert. This one for businesses in Kelowna.
Ah, yes, the counterfeit money.
Exactly. RCMP warning about counterfeit U.S. dollars circulating. Apparently, fake bills are being passed to businesses, and sometimes they're not noticed right away.
Yeah, that can happen easily in quick transactions.
But that's what the Kelowna RCMP are saying. They specifically warned places like convenience stores, gas stations, restaurants, where things move fast. It's mostly fake $20 and $50 U.S. bills.
And this isn't just, about spotting a fake. It hits small businesses right in the pocket.
Definitely.
That fast pace makes them vulnerable, which is why training staff and reporting it fast is so important. There are key things to look for.
Like what?
Well, the watermark, is it missing or wrong? Is there a security thread? Sometimes the color's off, or you might see the same serial number on different bills.
Okay.
Blurry printing, or just the feel of the paper. It could be different.
So if a business suspects they've got one,
don't give it back to the customer. That's crucial. Try to note what the person looked like, any details, put the note aside, maybe in an envelope. Don't handle it too much, and call the RCMP right away.
got it.
This affects the whole community, really.
Yeah.
So spreading the word helps everyone avoid losses.
So what connects these two warnings, Brampton and Kelowna, is really that need for community alertness. Being watchful makes a difference.
Absolutely. Vigilance is key.
Okay, from those kinds of challenges to the sheer force of nature. Next story is some really tragic news out of Banff National Park.
Yes, very sad.
A devastating rockfall on the Bow Glacier Falls Trail. Happened last Thursday, June 20th. 2 people died, 3 others were injured. This was about half an hour north of Lake Louise, that incredibly scenic area, very popular with tourists.
Such a beautiful place. Such a heartbreaking incident. The first priority was search and rescue, of course. A 70-year-old woman from Calgary was found deceased on Wednesday.
Okay.
And then a second victim's body was recovered on Friday. 3 other hikers were hurt, needed hospital transport.
And that trail, Bow Glacier Falls, it's considered fairly accessible, right?
It is, generally. Suitable for less experienced hikers, takes maybe 3 hours one way. But it's a stark reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mountains always have inherent risks, even on trails that seem straightforward.
For sure.
The response from Parks Canada was swift. Search teams using thermal cameras. They've also brought in geotechnical engineers now to check the slope stability, assess future risks.
So they're checking for more potential slides.
Exactly. They've confirmed no other missing people related to this. And Alberta Premier Danielle Smith expressed her sorrow over the tragedy.
This awful news. What does something like this tell us about, managing safety in these huge, wild national parks?
Well, it really highlights the constant challenge Parks Canada faces.
Yeah.
They have to balance letting people access these incredible, beautiful places
Right.
with the fact that these environments are dynamic, they change, they have risks. Geotechnical checks are vital for understanding and maybe mitigating some risks, but you can never predict nature completely.
No, you can't.
It just means ongoing monitoring is essential, and visitors always need to be aware of those inherent risks, even on popular trails.
A difficult balance. Okay, finally, let's shift to something quite different. A major development in Canada's social safety net.
Yes, this is significant.
The new Canada Disability Benefit Program has officially launched. Online applications are open now.
That's right. This is a big addition. It's for people aged 18 to 64 who are already approved for the disability tax credit.
Okay, so you need that DTC approval first.
Correct. Applications are being looked at until June 30th, and they expect the first payments to start going out in July.
And the amount.
It's $200 per month.
Right.
Now, the key thing here is its purpose. It's designed to supplement existing provincial and territorial disability supports.
So adds on top, doesn't replace.
Exactly. It adds to, not replaces. And importantly, almost all provinces and territories, Alberta's the exception here, have promised they won't cut their own support payments just because this federal benefit exists.
Okay, but that $200 amount, it's already getting some pretty sharp criticism, isn't it? People saying it's just not enough.
Yes, that criticism came almost immediately. It really boils down to the high cost of living in Canada versus whether that amount is adequate.
Right.
The Jobs Minister, Patty Hochschild, she did acknowledge that, yes, $200 won't cover everything. She framed it as supplementing other income, providing some help.
So it's a start, but maybe not the whole solution.
That seems to be the government's position. This program is trying to fill a long-recognized gap in federal support for Canadians with disabilities. But that initial amount, $200, it's definitely sparked a much wider debate about what truly adequate support looks like in Canada today, especially with costs being so high.
A debate that's happening elsewhere too, I imagine.
For sure. Many countries are grappling with this, and the government has also put some money towards organizations that can help people navigate the application process, both for the tax credit and this new benefit.
So the program's rolling out, it's providing something new, but it's also kicked off this big national conversation about adequacy.
Precisely.
Wow. Okay, what a truly insightful deep dive today. We've really covered a lot of ground.
We certainly have.
From those, dramatic weather contrasts really pushing our understanding of climate to that significant court sentence providing some closure, through those crucial safety warnings needing community awareness, the heartbreaking reality of that Banff tragedy, and finishing with the complexities of this new disability benefit.
And if you connect all those threads, what really stands out is that dynamic interplay, isn't it? Between policy, the environment, the justice system, and the community itself.
Yeah.
Understanding all these different developments, it helps us not just be informed, but maybe engage more thoughtfully with what's happening around us. In a world flooded with information, figuring out the why behind the what feels more important than ever.
That's a great point, and it kind of raises an important question for you, our listener.
Yeah.
As we see all these challenges and developments playing out, adapting to climate change, keeping communities safe, dealing with justice, figuring out social support, what insights stick with you, and maybe how might they shape how you engage, how you contribute to building, more resilient and informed communities here in Canada?
Food for thought.
Definitely. We encourage you to continue your own deep dive into the world around you.